First of all, thank you so much for agreeing to do this and taking time out of your day to let us interview you.
My pleasure.
All right. So, for the first question, we're just going to ask you to state your name and tell us a little bit about your role and your rank with University Police.
Okay. My name is David Bell. I'm the Deputy Chief of Police here at UPD. I serve directly under the Chief of Police. My main role is to supervise the investigations, patrol, and support divisions of UPD.
Okay, thank you so much.
So, how does your role as a university police officer help glue the trust between the City of Muncie Police, the students, the faculty, and staff? And then, are there any programs that you guys have implemented to ensure that the community around it feels supported by you guys?
Okay, two-part question. So first of all, my role is much like a lot of other officers on the department. I consider myself a police officer just like the rest of everybody under me in rank. So I'm still a police officer with University Police. And so my role is much the same as everyone else's. And that is sometimes to be an advocate and a liaison for university students, especially when they're dealing with other police agencies or in matters of law that are related to law enforcement. We at UPD have a strong relationship with the campus community. We love getting out and getting the people to know who we are and getting to know the campus community. We consider ourselves not only servants of the community, but we're also part of that community that we serve. So we think it's really important that you all know us and you know what we stand for. And that in itself is something that we use to bridge gaps, to assist students, and to make our jobs easier, really.
Yeah.
Second part of that question was programs. So we kind of operate on a community policing model. And basically what that means is getting police officers out of the police car, getting them out into the public, making them part of the public and the community they serve. We do that a lot of ways. So we've, through the years, instituted a lot of programs and events, let's say, that bridge those gaps and get us out into the community and educate the community on what we're about. One of the major ones just ended this last Sunday. It's our annual Citizens Police Academy. This is a 10-week program. It's very popular. It's been running for 17 or 18 years now. And it's basically a 10-week program where every Sunday from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m., you come in and we talk about topics ranging from the history of policing, law enforcement today, to patrol stops, to criminal investigations, forensics, use of force, firearms, emergency vehicle operations. We do a lot of demonstrations and activities, like we take them on a tour of the jail. We do a canine demonstration, a defensive tactics demonstration. There's all kinds of activities and events that we do in that it's made it really popular. So that's one thing. That's just one program. We offer self-defense classes to basically anybody that asks for them. And we also do 3 a year through learning and development here at the PD. And we just did one yesterday, actually. And something related to that would be the rape aggression defense course that we also provide. We do lunch with a cop. We do security surveys. If you're in a building and you want to know how safe your area is, give me a call. We'll arrange an officer to come over and do a security assessment where we're looking at things like how many security cameras do you have? Where are your exits versus routes of travel and safety issues. So we do that. Let's see, what else do we do? We offer the civilian response to active shooter events. I don't know if you've taken that, but that's a presentation on how to respond in an active shooter situation. We offer that on a requested basis. We also offer that through learning and development. I would highly recommend you attend that if you have not yet. It's good for everybody. And we also do did I mention lunch with a cop?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did.
Okay,
We actually did that before this project.
Yeah,
you did?
Yeah.
we used lunch as a cop, and we met up with Lieutenant Gaither
Oh,
to
that's amazing.
learn about his role and
Yeah.
what he kind of does as well.
Yeah, Matt's one of our star officers. He's fun to be around. Am I wrong?
No.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is.
So yeah, so that's an example. So you've
Yeah.
seen that example of one of the things we do. And again, that's just one thing. Basically, we hold the attitude on as far as community policing events, we hold the attitude, if you invite us, we're going to come. If you want to know something about something that we're experts in, we're going to come and share our expertise.
I think that's a great mindset to have.
Yeah.
Educating everybody.
Mhm.
It's a long answer. Did it answer your questions?
Oh yeah, no.
1,000% it is.
Okay.
With educating everybody comes like training and education. How does training and education impact how campus police interact with students and staff? And what are some like specific training programs other than like programs that like get you involved with the community? Like what's programs you have for officers to like train?
Oh, okay. So life experience is the best form of education. Now, I'm not downplaying the importance of higher education. That wouldn't be smart for me to do. But I will say that 15 to 20 of our officers that I can think of off the top of my head are college graduates. So they've lived the life of a college student. I know from being a college student, the responsibilities, the stressors, the challenges that students face on a daily basis. So having lived that has prepared me as a police officer. And I can assure you that, like I said, 15 to 20 of other officers that I can think of, is well over half of our department, have graduated college. So they have that experience that gives them a good understanding of how to interact with college students and what they're kind of going through. So that's a huge one. But I will also say that as part of the basic course at the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy, the topics there are a lot of them are focused on crisis intervention, de-escalation techniques, how to communicate with people, how to communicate effectively with people. That's in their initial training, those kind of things. But then we also do that type of training on a regular basis here at the department. We have 13 of our officers are instructors, general instructors, vehicle instructors, firearms. We have all the instructors we need to conduct all the training we need. And those topics, cultural awareness, de-escalation, crisis intervention techniques, all of those topics are taught pretty regularly. And we also use outside sources. We send as many people as we can on an annual basis to a week-long course called crisis intervention training. We've got one coming up in May that we're sending, I think, 5 officers to. So it is important for us to remain educated to ensure that we can provide the best service possible.
Yeah, I love that. So going off that, like the education aspect, you were talking about how you send people annually to that conference for the de-escalation and crisis. Do you utilize those policies from those conventions a lot of times and bring those into your force and then utilize it that way, those policies? Or just what are a few that you guys might learn from that convention?
Policies as far as
just like the crisis aversion and what you
so I can tell you that the crisis intervention training is sponsored by NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Health, and it's got a proven track record. It's an organization that has psychologists, psychiatrists, medical doctors, professors, police officers, a lot of experience in the field of dealing with mental illness.
Yeah.
So, and there are, as you might be aware, there are a lot of facets of mental illness. So that's a feather in our cap, I guess, as far as all of our officers being trained in that. But additionally, we have university resources that we lean on pretty heavily. The folks at the counseling center are just incredible to work with. The folks at the Center for Peace and Conflict Studies, we worked with them on several occasions. Just the university has just so many resources that we tap into. And it's all in an interest to make sure we provide the best service to our students and the community we serve. We recognize the fact that, we're going on a lot of mental health calls. I won't say it's more than it was last year or
Yeah.
anything like that, but it is a concern on a college campus, and Ball State University is no different. And so the officers that are responding to these type of calls are very well trained. And I'm not sure if that answered your question.
No, it totally.
It absolutely
Yeah,
did.
I love how you even talked about how you guys utilize campus counseling and all that just to even further.
We don't live in a silo. We recognize, there are a lot of other people and organizations out there that we have access to, or that even if we don't know that we have access to, that we're going to look into if we need them.
Yeah.
Because again, it's all about providing the best service.
With mental health issues, you see a lot more of like specific problems arising. For instance, we've seen like an uptick in gun-related incidents, not even just on campus, but in the surrounding Muncie areas. Like for instance, a gun went off in one of the dorms last year. What steps are taken to communicate with the students on and off campus during an event like this? And are there any worries that you have or any of your coworkers have about communication with students?
So the situation you're referring to, I believe, happened in the 23 to 24 school year. And I'm not trying to diminish that situation in any way, but I will say that after that situation, there was a lot of concern about how students were or were not notified of what was going on. So to address that part is kind of separate from the concerns of gun violence, increasing gun violence, and that sort of thing. So I'm going to try to address both of those.
Okay.
But steer me back on course if I fail to address the other one. First up, that call itself. So when we have an incident on campus that we need to let others know about, we use the rave alert system. And when it's an emergency, when there's there's a threat to life safety, we use what's called the emergency alert. And that goes out as soon as we can get it. It goes out to everybody that's signed up for it. It goes to your email, to your text, to your phone, to your office phone, to the TV monitors around campus. It's the emergency call boxes in the classroom. It goes out to as many people as we can get it to, and many sources. So when that happens, understand that it's going out to 70 some odd thousand people and sources. Okay. So we don't do those unless there is an actual confirmed life safety threat. And in that particular situation, there wasn't. And that's why we didn't do an alert. Again, I'm not diminishing the situation. It was dangerous at the moment in the split second that the gun went off. But immediately that situation was contained. We located the gun. We located the person who had the gun. It was an accident. And that there wasn't even really a crime that occurred. So that's why there was no alert issued.
Okay.
As far as gun violence and an increase in weapons on campus, I can tell you that since that situation, I can't speak for Housing and Residence Life verbatim, but I'm confident that they had a training program for their staff, and that their staff were more focused at the beginning of this year of educating the students in the dormitories on gun safety and the university's weapons policy and what to do if you see a gun and that kind of thing. And I'm fairly confident that as a result, we've seen fewer gun calls in the dorms and on campus property this year than we did last year. The 24 to 25 season versus the 23 to 24 school year.
Yeah.
As far as the increase of guns on campus, the other thing I wanted to talk about, and I guess this is a third topic to answer your question, is the difference between policy and law. So it is not against the law for a student to have a gun in a dorm room or in the library or in your class sitting right next to you. It's not against the law. It's not illegal. The state of Indiana allows anyone over the age of 21 to carry a gun on them, either concealed or open carry, what we call open carry, so you can see it. And that's perfectly legal. But it is a violation of university policy for people to carry, regardless of their affiliation with the university, to carry guns on campus. So the differences where campus and public property meet can be very finite. And I'll use McKinley Avenue as an example. You can be walking on the sidewalk of McKinley Avenue, and because that's a sidewalk adjacent to a public street, you can carry any type of gun you want down the road, down on the sidewalk. Now, if you take a step to your right or left and get into campus property, that is now a violation of university policy. Still not a violation of law, but it's a violation of policy. And I will say that we had a situation this school year in the fall semester over by Frog Baby. There was a person that was carrying a gun, and he just had the gun on his hip in a holster, and he's walking through campus. Well, when we made contact with him, he was on McKinley sidewalk, which is a public sidewalk. So he didn't violate the law, so we didn't arrest him. We tried to interact with him, but he didn't want to have anything to do with us. He went about his way, he left campus, and that was it. But again, there was a reaction from the public, the community, where they thought it was a higher threat, and I'm not diminishing how they viewed it.
Yeah.
But the fact is, it was just carrying a gun. When we arrived, he was just carrying a gun on public property. So, and since then, the chief and I have individually and together gone to several organizations and presented some of the material I just talked to you about the difference between policy and law.
I'm glad you said that too, because
too.
even I didn't know that wasn't a violation of law. I
Yeah,
thought
I
that it
didn't.
was. How do you go about separating between like campus policy and law? Like how did the university and like you guys determine whether or not they can make a policy that
Yeah.
directly contradicts law or a
The way I
law?
understand it, the policies are approved by the Board of Trustees.
Okay.
So when a policy is written, the ultimate approval lands on the Board of Trustees. And we have general counsel here at the university that is made up of attorneys who aren't going to allow a policy. They view the policy before it even gets to the Board of Trustees. If a policy conflicts with a law in a negative way that will impact the university or the community in a negative way, it won't even get to the trustees. So that's some of how a policy is written and approved, and how it compares to Indiana state law. So one of the significant, unique things about being a university police officer is what we're talking about. A Muncie police officer doesn't have to worry about the rules of Ball State University.
Right.
They are only focused on state statutes and federal statutes. So they don't have to know about the weapons policy on Ball State University. They don't have to know what a mandatory reporting person is for Cleary. They don't have to know anything about Title IX. They don't have to know a whole lot about cultural awareness and diversity, and the mental health aspects and stressors of a campus versus a regular population. So that's really unique to university police. So,
Yeah.
And the reason I'm saying that is because the way we differentiate between the two is we have to know. You have to know the tools of your trade. If you hired a carpenter to renovate your kitchen, and you came home and they've installed a toilet in the kitchen, you're going to have a problem with that, right? The carpenter doesn't know what they're doing. So when you have a police officer that is making a citizen's a seizure of a citizen, and they don't know how or why they're doing it, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So we have to know our job to be able to do it. And that's why we put such a high value on training and education of our police officers. So you can walk up to any police officer and ask them, hey, what's the difference between the state law on firearm carry and the university's policy? And if they can't tell you, Well, then I haven't done my job because the training coordinator didn't do his or her job, and so on. So we place a high value on education and training our officers.
And that's awesome. I think that really shows just how much you guys promote just engaging with students and making sure that their well-being is also in a good place and that they're safe.
Yeah.
So going off that, is there any way when engaging with student organizations or leaders to address those campus safety concerns while they're happening?
Well, we try to every year in the summer during freshman orientation, we address a lot of this and obviously other topics.
Yeah.
Chief Foster and I and Lieutenant Ryan Picorni, one of the three of us, and there might be another one thrown in there every now and then, are going to team up for every single orientation presentation. I value that because it's our opportunity for, again, the freshmen coming in to see us and know who we are.
Mhm.
And it's validating when you do this in June or July, and in September, one of the people that was in the audience comes up to you and says, "Hey, Chief, I remember you from orientation." So that's kind of validating. It tells us that what we're trying to do is working. That's one thing that we do
Mhm.
to get that messaging out. The other thing again is we're constantly trying to get into the dorms. We're constantly trying to go places and educate the people about what we're trying to accomplish. We have our website that we try to keep updated with relevant material that is good for the public to know. And it is, am I missing any part of that?
I think that covers a lot of what I asked. I love how though you mentioned for student orientation. I actually never got to do a student orientation. It was only online because I was in COVID year.
Oh
I
yeah.
definitely feel like I missed that aspect of getting or creating a connection with you guys. Just like I
Yeah,
would,
that's unfortunate.
yeah. So I love how you mentioned that. I think that's
I think that during orientation, like when they build relationships with students, not only does it increase student safety, but I feel like it also increases officer safety because students trust officers more, and officers can look at students and be like, "Oh, I remember you from orientation," and they can vice versa. And I just think it increases safety all around. And going off of that, um, can you share an experience in which community policing on campus had a positive impact on an interaction or situation?
Yes, I can. It was several years ago. It was when we first started the Lunch with a Cop program. And I'll be honest with you, before I go into the story, that program, incredibly successful from its inception until COVID.
yeah.
And after COVID, it's just taken such a hit, and it's so unfortunate. We're trying everything we can to get it back and make it popular again, because we had so many lunches with cops prior to COVID, and then with COVID hit, and then it's just fallen off. And we've even added dinner too, so dinner or lunch. But the value of that program cannot be understated. And my story is based on I did lunch with a cop 3 times. And the most impactful event as far as community policing goes for me was I had lunch with an African-American female from Chicago. And it was just her. I don't think she had anybody with her. And that goes to show you what the impact on me was, because I don't remember anybody else being there. But this was several years ago, and I met her at Woodworth Dining for lunch. And one of the things she told me was her perception of police, and the reason she signed up for lunch with a cop, because in the neighborhood she grew up in, it was not uncommon for her to see police tackle young teenagers, mostly black men, for what appeared to be no reason, and just beat them up and release them, not even arrest them.
That's awful.
And basically, her experience of the police were they were criminals picking on non-criminals, the people they're supposed to be serving and protecting. And she told me she was actually scared to come to the lunch with me. She didn't know me. She just knew I was a police officer. But with her experience of police, she was scared to come to the lunch, but on the other hand, she knew this was something that she had to do. It was a fear she wanted to face. And she knew that it had the possibility of changing her outlook. And it actually did. We had an awesome conversation and meal for an hour, and I wanted it to go on longer. She wanted it to go on longer. And by the end of it, she told me, "You've completely changed my perception of police." So that to me has been valuable, because whenever I have a talk that I give, I tell the synopsis of this story with the message that we at UPD understand. We are a police department. We're police officers. We're in uniform. We have a certain authority. We have a certain responsibility to the public. But we also understand that wherever you came from, you have your own perception of the police. And we can't expect you to come to me and be real friendly and act like you like me if you've never seen a positive interaction with the police. So we understand that, and we have to keep that in mind when we're dealing with the public, because we deal with a public that consists of people from around the planet, much less the United States. So that cultural awareness, that knowledge that we have people here that have their experience with the police runs the gamut, positive to negative, deadly, and everything in between. So that incident really impacted me in a way that day and all the way till today. Well, there's been several in between.
Yeah.
I can give you 100 examples of situations where I take pride in the fact that me and another person from the community have connected in a positive way, even from negative situations. Because let's face it, when you call the police, 9 times out of 10, it's a bad situation. You've been victimized somehow, you witnessed something tragic. Nobody calls us to say, "Hey, you just want to come over and sit on the porch and have a cup of tea?"
No.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear about how you can switch someone's point of view of police, even if it is UPD or a student that you're not going to interact with again. And it kind of really plays into our next question of how you approach building relationships with students who may have always had a negative outlook on cops or UPD, and even students that are so, like, I don't want to say stubborn in their ways, but students who just may not want to change their outlook on police. Like, how do you go about building a relationship with someone who has a negative predisposition of you?
Hands down, the most important quality of a police officer is their ability to communicate effectively. Part of that, and what makes effective communicators so effective, is not only their ability to respond to questions and to talk, but to listen and to actively listen. We train our officers not to listen to respond, but to listen to understand. And if you're listening to understand, when you understand what the person is trying to communicate, what they might be going through, it makes it easier to respond. That makes sense. So
Yeah.
we're constantly on the lookout for opportunities, and we get them pretty regularly on a daily basis for those opportunities to learn and to bridge that gap between you and me, knowing that you may not have a positive experience with police. You may not have a positive opinion of UPD. Maybe you got a ticket for parking in the wrong area, so you don't like University Police. We didn't even write you that ticket, parking services, but that's okay. Or maybe you got pulled over and you got a ticket for speeding or not wearing your seatbelt. That's a negative interaction that can affect the way you look at all police from that point forward. And we understand that. But we just have to approach each situation as an opportunity to educate, guide, mentor, and also, and most importantly, to learn from the people we're serving. Because again, we're part of the community, we're not just servants of it. I can give you an example of something that happened recently with me that I can't prove, but I suspect I made a big difference. And that is where I had an opportunity to spend some time with some people that absolutely give the impression that they hate the police. And it wasn't one or two, there were like 5 of them. And I spent some time with them, and I just made it clear, like, I'm here to do a job that I believe in, and a job that I was sworn to do. And though you think we don't agree on a topic or an ideology, you can have that opinion, but in the scheme of what's going on, that's kind of irrelevant. What we need to do is find a common ground. Well, to find that common ground, you should know that I support your role in this. I support your right to be able to have that opinion. One of my greatest accomplishments and the things that I like, one of the things I like to do the most is to just defend your right, your constitutional right to have that opinion and to voice it. When and I've worked several, when I'm at a demonstration or a protest, I can have people yelling at me and cussing at me. And I still take pride in the fact that I'm actually there defending their right to do that. I don't get offended. I don't look at that and get mad and retaliate. That wouldn't do any good. You have an opinion, maybe I'm not going to change it, but I'm proud to be able to be here protecting your right to voice it. Well, when you tell somebody that, it totally takes the foundation off of the argument that I'm a bad person, that I'm against them. And when you can do that, and I'm not doing it maliciously, I'm not doing it vindictively, we're just having a civil adult conversation. And I'm trying to establish that we're all the same. You believe in what you believe in, and sometimes I believe in the same thing. I'm just not in a position to voice it right now. But the fact that I'm not on your team doesn't mean we're enemies. Finding a common ground. So I actually think that I changed the perception of a few people in that incident.
That's
And
awesome.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah, as you should be.
It's not something that every
Mhm.
cop can say that they've done. And I think that,
Right.
you know, realizing for yourself that that is something that you've accomplished is pretty,
It's a big
it's
jump.
it's a big, yeah.
Well, and I know I'll get more opportunities.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. But just to kind of wrap things up and a last question, as you can say, is do you think is the most complicated or some of the challenges that you guys as cops or us as future cops might face in the coming years in the force?
Well, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
One thing I can tell you is that the only thing constant is change.
Yeah.
So I started in 93, so I have over 30 years in this, and I can tell you that things are different now than they used to be, than they were in 1993. But overall, people are the same. Somebody asked me a few days ago, what's the difference between people today and people back in the 60s? Like you've probably seen video of protests and the civil rights movement and all that back in the 60s. And today you see video and YouTube and on the news, you see videos of people spitting in officers' faces and burning the flag and cussing at them and pointing at them, inches from their face. And I was asked, okay, so this is what we see now. Why is everybody so bad now compared to the 60s civil rights movement when they weren't doing that? I wasn't around in the 60s, but I can tell you that in 1993, when I started in this profession, they weren't much different. They were doing the same thing then that they're doing now. When people are passionate about something, they get angry and they behave the same way today that they did in 1993 when I started. The difference is, what do we have now that we didn't have in 1993? Technology. Social media. We didn't even have the internet in 1993. So and it's so much more sensationalized now. The behavior is the same, but we have everybody around has a camera because they have a phone. And every news agency is reaching out to all of these people who have videos, and they're plugging all this stuff in with a negative spin. So I don't think people are not much different today than they were when I started, but things change. Technology is different.
Yeah.
You have to be adaptable with society's expectations. I think it's much the same today as it was when I started in 93. Society still expects us to come when we're needed, to be visible, to be friendly and approachable, And there's always going to be that level of, I don't want to call it a wall, but there's always going to be that perception from some people when they see that uniform that, oh, we can't talk to them, that it's them versus us or something like that. And it's up to us to change that through things like this, through Lunch with a Cop, through our interactions on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Even I tell younger officers especially, we want you to get out of the car and we want you in the buildings. Well, there's a big difference between you walking through the buildings looking at your phone the whole time and you walking through the building and acknowledging people with a smile and a raised eyebrow and a wave and saying hi. I would much rather you be doing that than walking around with a bad look on your face or,
Yeah.
because I mean, people get turned off by the uniform anyway. So a lot of it's our responsibility to change our own the perception that people have of us. So I will tell you that as people going into law enforcement, expect change, and be able to adapt with it, and never forget that as human beings, we're all in this together. Whether you're wearing a uniform and enforcing authority or having authority enforced on you,
Yeah.
we're all out for the same stuff. So let's try to find a way to meet in the middle.
That's awesome.
Well, we just want to thank you so much for your time and willingness to participate in this interview today. I feel like we're both going to walk out of this and our classmates with a different outlook and perspective on UPD and the relationship between you and campus students. So
Good. Can I ask you some questions?
Of
yeah,
course.
of course.
Juniors, seniors?
Seniors.
Okay. What are the rest of your classmates doing right now?
They're probably in the hallway waiting for us to walk out there and get them.
Why couldn't they listen?
We actually we were a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
We didn't want them.
Oh,
Yeah.
It would have been like a nerve-wracking thing to like feel them sitting behind us and like, oh,
okay, I can see
Yeah.
that. I appreciate that.
We
Well,
even had
it's recorded, so they can watch it.
Right.
Yeah.
We had even had Dr. Warren Gordon.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm sorry. We
Yeah.
need to home.
So it's just
Is she in there now?
No,
she's in
I
the
keep
hallway.
seeing her walk past.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, she's probably going, man, this is either going really good or really bad.
Yeah.
Well, she's the best.
Yeah.
So
We
you're in
love
good
that.
hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's been.
What do you two want to do in law enforcement or criminal justice, I should say?
I'm going towards victim advocacy.
Mhm.
That's kind of what I've always wanted to do, and that's.
Have you met with our victim advocates?
I have not yet, but I do have an email that I have to reach out to facilitate like an interview with them and get to know.
We have an excellent victim advocate team here at the university. And in this county, we have a robust victim advocacy program. Muncie Police, Prosecutor's Office, us. We have a lot of good things in that realm that you should definitely look into. Muncie Police actually have two counselors, psychologists that are working, like they're not just sitting in an office on call, they're driving around, and when a mental health call comes up, one of them goes to it, or both of them. We would love to have something like that, but
yeah, I have a couple of emails, and I'm hoping to work with the victim advocates next semester.
Okay.
I've got a couple of people to reach out to, but I'm hoping that all falls in place and it works out.
if you need a reference or you need to drop a name, tell them I sent you.
Well, thank you so much. I definitely appreciate that.
You're welcome. And how about you? What do you plan to do?
I'm actually a double major, so I have another major in psychology. I'm more looking towards going to the workforce, just like HR involvement and using I have a sociology minor also. So
You've been busy.
A little bit, but yeah, I like criminology. If I did pursue a career in it, I would probably go back for my graduate degree and maybe somewhere find a job in like forensic psychology.
Okay.
But besides that, yeah, not too sure.
Also keep in mind that sometimes the path you want to be on gets a little fuzzy. You end up on another one. I have 3 degrees.
Oh.
I have an associate degree in commercial art. I have a bachelor's in exercise science and a master's in sports performance. No degree in criminal justice.
Impressive resume, then.
Yeah.
So yeah, do what you find brings you happiness.
Yeah, I definitely know that I can't speak for you, but when I definitely started my freshman year, I wanted to be something completely different. I was a journalism major, and then I switched to political science, and then I switched it to criminal justice with a poli-sci minor.
I was gonna be a botanist.
And now I have my criminal justice major, and then I'm a double minor in political science, and then emergency management, homeland security. So it's like
Wow.
switched around so much. And
Yeah.
it's
You've
now-
been busy too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're gearing towards victim advocacy. So yeah.
Well, it sounds like you guys have had a pretty awesome college experience, and
Yeah.
you know what? That's some of what it's about.
Mhm. It's been
It's not just about
different
getting a job.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
but I wouldn't change it. It's
Yeah.
definitely been a different experience.
Last question. What is the product that we're working toward with this project?
So originally we were writing a script and doing a podcast. We were going to work with Indiana Public Radio. But our group is no longer doing that, and we are going to post this on our website that we're creating for this, and it's also going to go on YouTube. So it's pretty much like a self-fulfilling thing at this
Yeah.
point, where we're like, wow, we made this script and we did this interview and we worked with UPD to get this out, and we worked with people from our community. It's an immersive learning course.
Yeah.
So we worked with Whiteley community,
I started to-
yeah,
Yeah.
to learn about their food desert and learn about how we can help the community, kind of like UPD does.
I definitely recommend this class to a lot of people. though.
For
I've
sure.
learned a lot, just like
Good.
Mhm.
based on like how to communicate with just other people, communities, and
I
working
learned a
together
lot
as-
about UPD. I didn't know a lot of the things that we just learned from
No,
this interview. So
right.
we really appreciate your time doing
Yeah.
this.
Again, it's my pleasure. I love opportunities like this. I'm a fan of developing younger people, and you two seem pretty awesome. I wish you the best on this project and
Thank you so much.
others that you'll tackle.
Thank you so much.
I hope you have a
You're
great night.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.